Wakey, wakey, class. Time to make the coils. So we discussed how to make the salt dough in the last video, and now we're going to be making all of these different kinds of coils and learning how to create each one. Hope that you're having a good time with your family and you have enough toilet paper. All right, let's get started. So I have my dough here, and the first thing that I'm going to do is just teach you how to make a coil, and then we can make all of these things from our clay. Okay, so I have my clay, I have a butter knife, and also if you find that your clay is drying out, I just got a towel and wet it down a little bit and put it to the side over here where my other clay is, and so it wouldn't dry out. Okay, let's go ahead and start. All right, so I'm gonna take a little bit of this clay, and it's a little bit cold. You can warm it up in your hand. You can also take your clay out of the oven, out of the refrigerator 30 minutes before you work with it, and that will help a little bit. So the first thing I do is just start to make a piece of clay that kind of looks like a log or a snake, and I'm going to use the tips of my fingers to my wrist to roll this out. So I'm just going to take this and roll this on my surface. Oops. And once I have it thin enough, I don't want to make it too thin. I'm going to make it about the thickness of my pinky finger. Okay, you can of course make bigger coils and thinner coils, thicker coils, but I'm gonna do it to about the thickness of my pinky. Then I'll have enough to create all my coils. So the first ones I'm gonna do are these spirals right here. So let's go ahead and do those, and I'm gonna need about that much for that first spiral, and all I'm gonna do is just roll this up. All right, there's one. And then the other spiral, I'm gonna need a little bit longer piece, and I'm gonna roll one side one way, and then I'm gonna roll the other side the other way. There we go, and then I have got those first two spirals. Okay, so let's move on to the arches. And I'm just gonna put these aside. All right, I'm gonna get another piece. Let's see this again. Warming it up in my hand. Rolling it out. Okay, and I've got two sets of arches that I'm gonna make, so I'm gonna cut this in half. That might be a little bit long. Cut that. Oh my goodness. All right, and there's one of those. Okay, I'm gonna have to make two, but for now we're gonna go ahead and move on. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is do these short coils, and some of them are thinner and some of them are thicker. So I'm gonna roll two coils for that. So again, I'm just warming this up a little bit. All right, for my thicker coils, I'm gonna leave this a little bit thicker, and then I'm just gonna cut segments out. So as you can see on this, there are segments cut. So I'm just gonna cut the segments all the same size, and this is how I create a short coil. 3 is probably enough, and then I can roll this a little bit thinner. If you're having issues with it cracking, it might need a little bit of water. So you might want to add a little bit of water. Sometimes it gets an air bubble in there too, and it acts kind of funny. Okay. I'm going to make my shorter coils. Really what we're doing here is we're just learning, practicing all of these so we can learn the technique of coiling, and also we're learning how to create different shapes and different configurations with our dough. Okay, so there's my short coils. Now I'm gonna go to my donuts. All right, I have a little bit of this left, so I could probably create maybe a larger donut. I'm just connecting those. There's a little bit larger one. And there's another one. I gotta make 2 little tiny ones here. So I'm also gonna do that. And I think I'm gonna roll this a little bit thinner to make those tiny ones. When I'm making small shapes, I need to roll my coil thinner. When I'm making thicker shapes, of course, I'm gonna have my coil thicker. Okay, these are pretty easy to make. If we were doing this in the classroom and we had clay, it might be a little bit tougher. I'm finding that this is pretty easy to work with. So really, I want you guys to learn the technique of rolling a coil. That's the most important thing, is to learn how to make a coil that is all the same thickness. So if I want to make a thicker coil, it's going to be the same thickness all the way through. I'm going to try to roll it so it's all the same thickness and it's consistent. Just like when we talked about consistency in our walls of our pinch pot, we want the coil to be the same. Now, if I want to roll it thinner, I want the whole thing to be thinner. Okay, so that's really what I'm trying to do, is roll this so it's a little bit thinner and consistent. Okay, now we've got long coils next. I'm just gonna make a few of those. I don't want you to run out of dough, so you're gonna have to kind of gauge that and use your judgment. Let's move these donuts. Okay, so now I've got my longer coils. I'm gonna do another long coil that's a little bit thicker. And again, I'm really trying to make this consistent all the way through. I want my coils to be the same thickness. Okay, so I'm gonna leave these a little bit thicker than the other ones and cut it. And there I've got my longer coils. Okay, now I'm gonna go to making folds, okay? So again, roll my coil. I've got a thicker fold and a thinner fold on here. So I'm just gonna, whoops. Okay, that didn't work out so well. That was falling apart. Okay, let's try it again. If it's falling apart, I just knead it again, or probably an air bubble or something in there. Okay, so I'm gonna roll this out a little bit thinner. And then all I'm gonna do, hopefully you can see that and I wasn't out of the picture frame, just fold these. Okay, looks like a snake kind of. Now you might be running low on dough at this point. So if you need to, take a picture of what you've made so far and put it in to Seesaw and then just smush them all back together, knead the dough again, and make the rest, because we do have a few more here that we need to do, and you might not have enough dough. Okay, I'm gonna leave this one a little bit thicker than my last one. Okay, and there we go. We have the folds here. looks like these ones, okay, hopefully you can see that. All right, and you have this handout on Schoology, so that's there for you. All right, let's move those to the side. And the next thing that we're gonna be doing is the twist and the braid, okay? So on these ones, we are going to need 2 coils for the twist and 3 coils for the braid, and I'll show you how to braid. The twist is a little bit easier because you're just twisting 2 pieces together. So what I can do is I can just roll one big one here, one big coil, and then I'm just going to twist it together. Okay, so again, I'm trying to make this so it's consistent, so it's the same all the way through. That's what I want. And then I'm going to take this, and all I have to do is just twist this together. Okay, so there's the twist. If this was actually edible, we could bake that in the oven and eat that. Put garlic butter on it, yum. Like I said in my other video, we're gonna have a optional project of making pretzels for your family. I realize that you might not have the ingredients, so it's not gonna be required, but I thought that would be kind of fun. So we'll make pretzels in another video, and you can do that if you would like. Okay, so now I'm gonna make a braid. And for a braid, I need 3 pieces that are about the same size. So I'm just gonna roll one big piece here, and it's probably going off the camera. You probably can't see all of this, but I've made a longer piece, and I'm just going to cut it. Okay. And I'm gonna put that in front of me. And braiding is all about alternating from left to right. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna always have one in the middle, one on the left, and one on the right. So I'm gonna take my one that's on the right, and I'm going to put it over the top of the one in the middle. Now what this has done is the one that I just moved is now in the middle, and then the one that I went over is on the right. I'm gonna switch to the left, and I'm gonna go over this. Like that. Now this one's in the middle. I do this, and I keep alternating. My dough is stretching out a little bit. It's okay if that happens. No worries. We're just trying to learn this technique, get a feel for it. Okay. And then there is my braid. Okay, so I've got my twist and my braid. Now I'm gonna go to making spheres. Hopefully you can see that. I've got spheres that I'm gonna make. So spheres are really not a coil, but they are used quite a bit in constructing coil pots because you can do all kinds of stuff with spheres. So I'm gonna start with making a half of a sphere. Okay, so the way that I do that is, you guys have done this before, roll a ball. Okay, and this is so easy, watch this. And then I'm just gonna cut it in half. Okay, well I smushed it a little bit, but we'll just reform it. And that is a half sphere. And I can use these in my coil pot. Okay, let's put those to the side. Now let's make a flattened sphere. So same thing, we're gonna roll a sphere, and then all we have to do is just flatten it out into a disc. And again, I can use this in my coil pot. Okay, so I've got those. Now we're just gonna make little small spheres. And just a set of these, and you can use, again, you can use these in making a coil pot. And this is just another variation of the technique. It's really not a coil, but people do use these, and I'll put examples up when we go into our other project, when we go into our final project for coiling. So you can kind of see what people do. You guys are gonna be making some different things. Okay, so now I have made every single one of these on here, and I'm going to put them on my cutting board. Now, when I go to take a picture of this, I'm going to want to have most of these. If you can't do it with all of them because you don't have enough dough, just do half, like I said before, and then you can do the other half and do 2 pictures. I'm really flexible. Of course, I want you guys to be successful. As you know, we talked a lot about that in class, about your success and that being the #1 thing. Okay, so we're all working together here. Please don't get stressed out about this. If you don't have enough dough, you can always, do half of these and then do the other half, and that'll work just fine. So I'm just trying to get these all together. I don't know if you can see all of these or not, but I'll adjust the camera in just a minute, and you can kind of see what I've done. Okay, so got most of them here. All right, and oh, that looks pretty good. Okay, so you can kind of see, oh, there we go. There is the final product, and I would take a picture of this and upload it to Seesaw. This is worth 50 points. Depending on when your classes will depend on when it's due, please check Schoology. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much.